Hi besties, welcome to another day of bookmas. Today I am going to do my top 10 books of 2023. I sat here for a good hour trying to figure out what books made the list. I feel like my top 5 was very clear. These are the 5 books that I knew were gonna make it on the list. Like when I read them this year, I was like, this has gotta go on my top 10. My number 1 pick, watch me on TikTok, you'll probably can guess this. So if you wanna make your guesses, go right ahead. Are you done guessing? Okay, so first up in my favorite books of 2023, Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is no surprise. If you know me, you know me. Divine Rivals was a book that I devoured, I think in a day, maybe 2. It was so good. The second one comes out this month. I'm actually pre-ordered it. I can't wait for it to come. But it's just a fantasy romance, but it's kind of like magical realism, I think it's called, where it's set like in a non-fantasy world and there's a fantasy elements. So in this, there is magical typewriters, and the female main character that you follow has one of the magic typewriters. So she types out a letter about her life, ranting about her life, sends it through the wardrobe, and she didn't know it was magical, and she gets a letter back, and it starts that story. And there's also like talk of war and everything in this book. It's very well written. I really love Rebecca Ross's writing. It feels so whimsical and magical and just comforting. I can't wait to read the second book. I love this series endlessly. Next up is a book that I just recently read last month, and I do have the special edition of this book because I love it so much. It is Whistleblower by Kay Cove. So this book is about a girl who is involved in a scandal at her global company, and she decides to kind of rat them out. Stuff goes down and she moves across the country to get away from it all. Meets Link, who is the male main character. He is a lethal assassin. He's like one of the most fierce killers in America. So it's their story. It's really good. The romance is really, really good. The spice is very good. The plot, it's like a suspense romance. It's really good. It's kind of dark. It's on the lighter of the dark side of dark romances. But I loved it. Third book of my 10 top. This author comes to no surprise, and she'll probably be on my 10 favorite books of every year. I think she was on last year, maybe even twice last year. Checkmate is my 3rd favorite book of the year by Ali Hazelwood. This is a YA romance about a chess player and national ranked number 1 chess player. It was very good. I loved it. I love Ali Hazelwood's writing. I can say it, scream it from the top of my lungs. Ali Hazelwood can do no wrong. She's an auto-buy author for me, one of my favorite authors. I will read whatever she writes, and I will stand by that for the rest of my life. So 4th book, and it's going to be on a lot of people's wrap-ups, I feel, for the year and favorite books of the year. So no surprise, Fourth Wing. I'm not going to go into details about this book, about what it's about or anything like that. Just give my feelings. I really enjoyed this book. I binged this book in like a day. I actually picked this up before it was blown up all over TikTok. I picked this up before it even released. My Barnes & Nobles accidentally pre-shelved it. So I bought it and read it, and I loved it. I really did. And I did read Iron Flame. I didn't love that one as much as this one. This one was just very romance fantasy. So if you're looking for romance fantasy, I would recommend, but I'm sure you've seen it a million places, so I don't want to go into much detail about it. But my 4th favorite book of the year, I am doing a duet, but I have it in one book. So it's the Now and Always duet by Amanda Bentley. This one ranks, 5th. I don't know if I said 4th. This is my 5th book of my top 10 books of 2023. This is a romance suspense book. It was very good. Friends with Benefits, a romantic suspense. It's a workplace romance. And essentially this female The female main character is on Tinder. She goes out to meet her Tinder date. He stands her up, and as she's walking out of the bar, she sees her cheating ex, and she kicks him in the nuts, and this random guy comes over and is like, oh honey, like, I'm so glad you're here, type thing. And they end up being friends with benefits, and it's their story together. It's a romantic suspense. There is some mystery involved, which I really enjoyed. If you haven't noticed, I really like romantic suspense. I feel like I love romance books and the tension between the characters, but when you throw in a suspense of some mystery or thrilling aspect of it where you're like, okay, like, I love them together, but I need to know what's also going on, I'll eat that up. Every day of the week, I'll eat that up. And this book gave what it was trying to give. Highly recommend this. You will not be disappointed. For my 6th book, I read this back in January, so it's a little hard for me to remember everything, but it's Defend the Dawn. This is the 2nd book of the trilogy. The first book came out last January. This one came out this January, and then this coming January, the last book of the trilogy comes out, and I'm super excited for this one. I rated the first book 5 stars. I rated this one 5 stars. I love this series. It's a YA fantasy romance series. Essentially, to start off with, like, the beginning of the story of book 1, there is a plague that is hitting the kingdom, and Tess, the main character, is running around at night when she's not supposed to be and trying to give out medicine and heal the sick people, and she has a companion who is working in the castle, and he has like a hidden identity that you don't really find out about, but he helps her. So it's their story on helping the kingdom, and as you can tell with something like that, stuff goes wrong, stuff happens. It's a ride, and I can't wait for the last book. I might even reread those before the last one comes out, just to freshen up and remember everything. 7th book of the top 10, I have The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. Most people, I feel like, have read this. If you're watching, it blew up all over TikTok a little bit ago. It's kind of Hunger Games-esque vibes. You have the female main character who is a human, and she grows up with a father who is the king of the vampires. There's 2 types of vampires. He is king of one of them that rules the kingdom. And every 100 years, there is a big tournament where these humans and vampires, well, anyone can join. It's usually vampires. Humans don't really join because it's very crucial and horrible to go through. She ends up going through it. There is a love interest. It is a romance fantasy book, and they end up fighting with each other. And if you win the tournament, you get granted 1 wish. And her 1 wish is to turn into a vampire. So it's kind of the journey of her at the tournament and what happens and all of this. And there's plot twists, and there's romance, and there's sadness and everything. It was so good. I cannot wait to read the last book in the duology. It is finished. I haven't read the 2nd book. I read the novella that's in between this one and the 2nd one, and that one was also very good. To my 8th book of my top 10 is King of Greed by Anna Huang. This is another one of my auto-buy authors. This book was my favorite one that I read by her this year. I think she published 2 this year. King of Pride and King of Greed, which I didn't like King of Pride that much, but King of Greed was so good. Talk about a male main character that just grovels the whole book. This is it. So they have a marriage in turmoil, and she wants a divorce, and he wakes up and realizes, like, hey, like, I love her. I need to stop putting her on the back burner. Grovel. All I'm going to do is grovel. And I loved it. It was so good. Anna Huang can do no wrong in my eyes, just like Allie Hazelwood, just like Kay Cove and Amanda Bentley. They can never do any wrong. My auto-buy authors. And Lauren Asher. She didn't. And up next, I have a Lauren Asher book. Another one of my auto-buy authors, I have Wrecked. This is book 3 of the Dirty Air series. I'm still trying to work my way through these books. This one hit. The male main character suffers from very bad anxiety. There's a lot of mental health representation. There's a lot of sickness, like terminal illness in this book. So definitely look up trigger warnings. But Jax was such a likable character, and Elena was such a likable character. I love them. I love them together. I love their dynamic. She is his PR representative, and he is a F1 racer because it's part of the F1 series, and he is essentially going down in a downward spiral. His mom is sick and he just takes it out on drinking. He has really bad PR. The company is like, okay, we need to get you a PR representative to like fix your life. It was so good. I highly recommend this one in the series. Read them all though, because I've loved them all so far. And then last but not least, for my 10 books of 2023 that I loved, this one's gonna be kind of a surprise, maybe not, but I have The Only One Left by Riley Sagar. This is the only thriller that made it in my top 10 this year. This one was really unique and cool. I really like Riley Sagar's writing. My other favorite one by him is Lock Every Door. I think that was on my wrap up last year or the year before of like being in my top 10 for the year. I just really like Riley Sagar's twists. I feel like they always catch me off guard. He does a very good job at like leading you one way but then pulling you the other. This one was very spooky, but not in like a creepy way. It was kind of like keep me on my toes, I want to know what's going on type of way. It's about this house up on a hill, and essentially there's a woman who no longer can speak, no longer can walk. She uses a typewriter to talk to the female main character, who is her bedside nurse. And yeah, it's really fun. It's really creepy. It's definitely, the twist definitely got me, and it was a 5-star read for me, and I really enjoyed this one. So if you're looking for a thriller to like kind of mess you up, this one's it. I would highly recommend. But that is my top 10 of 2023. Comment down below if you had any similar top 10 books in your top 10. Or what is your number one book of the year? I would love to know. But I am so thankful you guys are here. I hope you like this video. Like, share, subscribe as always, and I'll see you tomorrow.